Hello and welcome everyone to this inspirational talk entitled 5 AI Trends You Can't Afford to Ignore. So let me just move straight into it. I was, naturally using AI to help me research and prepare for the presentation. And when I asked it for a suggestion of a slogan for this talk to give, it suggested AI isn't just changing how we work, it's changing how we think about work, which I think sums it up nicely. Although work is not the only subject I will be talking about. The 5 AI trends that we can't afford to ignore that I want to focus on today are, first of all, the AI technology itself, its rapid progress, its current capabilities, and what they mean for us. Secondly, and these trends connect to each other in the sense that they sort of emerge from one from another, as we'll see. The second trend being that the growing need for introducing AI culture and changing attitudes towards AI, both in the marketplace and the job market and beyond. The third trend I wanted to discuss is the changes that are happening and that we expect to happen to the job market because of the influence of AI. The fourth trend is the cultural change, when I want to focus on particularly on the understanding of human creativity in an era where AI can, that's one of the questions: can AI create art? And finally, I want to discuss, I'll close with some remarks containing the future that awaits us with the further development of this technology and the choices that we face and decisions that we must make in order to make sure that this future is beneficial for us. So without further ado, let me just say a few words about myself. I'm an AI consultant and trainer, specializing specifically in the technology of artificial intelligence, where my areas of interest are prompt engineering and the applications of AI in the business, education, and the creative sector, as well as the consequences of the AI revolution, both on society and the economy. I recently completed a postgraduate degree in AI and business and public administration at the Warsaw School of Economics. My previous educational background is in philosophy, where I hold a degree from the London School of Economics. I was also previously an entrepreneur and a project manager in the publishing industry, working for many years for the Polish scientific publishers, PWN. Now to start with the first trend I want to discuss, which is the AI technology itself, and specifically the so-called generative AI technology, because to give us a little bit of a background, AI as such is not new. It was known under its previous name of machine learning for quite some time and used in science and businesses really since the late 1990s and quite widespread by the 1910s. In such use cases as in banking for analyzing transactions and detecting fraudulent transactions, for content moderation and especially sentiment analysis, are spam filters, for example, at least partly based on machine learning and sentiment analysis. Various recommendation engines seen in the various internet shops and e-commerce are largely based on machine learning, and also loyalty cards that we see everywhere these days. The basic idea here is profiling promotions that would be attractive to us based on collecting and analyzing our behavioral patterns using machine learning. And also recently, we can see, for instance, in self-service tools, they're beginning to recognize products on their own rather than us having to input a specific fruit or vegetable, for example. There's also machine learning, specifically computer vision. So those are all AI technologies. Generally, the systems based on so-called neural networks and deep learning, which is an extension of the machine learning paradigm, have gradually been becoming more powerful over the last decades, although this has rarely penetrated into the public consciousness, except for occasions such as this, when Deep Blue, developed by IBM, won with the then chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov in 1997, or when another computer developed by IBM, Watson, won in Jeopardy in 2011. And another such case when AlphaGo, developed by Google, won in a very difficult combinatorily game Go with the then Grandmaster Lisa Doll in 2016. So AI is not new, but what is new, and the reason that everyone has been talking about AI for the past 2 years, is the so-called, and what is behind the so-called generative AI revolution, is first of all the so-called transformer architecture of neural networks, which were first proposed and developed in 2017. This gave this technology unprecedented abilities in processing and understanding natural language. And this led to the series of the so-called large language models from OpenAI called Generative Pre-trained Transformers, or GPT, which is an acronym known around the world today. What is also new is the currently available computing power and scalability of this technology that wasn't available previously, and also what has been a major factor in the unfolding of events was the aggressive market strategy of OpenAI and Microsoft in the beginning. Now also everyone else involved in the AI race, so to speak. And so these are the factors that are new, and those are the factors that are behind the so-called generative AI revolution that we're seeing right now. I think it's by now commonly agreed that it really started with the release of now widely known ChatGPT in November of 2022, which was the first really competent conversational chatbot that was very simple and intuitive to use. All we needed to know to use this tool was to know how to hold a conversation. And it was also widely available. Also, the remaining and also up to this day remains state of the art in terms of its general capabilities. Another very significant event in the timeline of Gen AI revolution was the release in March of last year of GPT-4, which was the first commercially available system that displayed human-like competence across a wide range of domains. Famously passing the US bar exam at the 90th percentile, which is better than 90% of all humans. This was also what prompted none other than Bill Gates to officially proclaim that the age of AI has begun. Now, when we say generative AI, we mean AI systems that are capable of generating new content, and this can be either text, images, audio, voice, and since recently also video, 3D renderings, and other modalities. Crucially, it's content that resembles, but is not simply a reproduction of the content that these systems were trained on. Now, most text-based AI systems are so-called large language models, which, as I already mentioned, is a type of neural network called a transformer that is capable of understanding natural language. To put it as simply as possible, large language models are trained on a text base or a knowledge base that it could be, well, it's an internet worth of text. And then some. They learn during the training pattern in language, and thanks to learning these patterns, they begin to understand relationships between concepts, including abstract concepts. And this allows them to generate new meaningful content in a human-like manner. So what makes these machines special, and what's behind the generative AI revolution, is that unlike previous machine learning paradigms, and these are not, we could argue, just pattern matching machines, because they are capable of understanding context, nuance, and meaning in human language. So this allows them to work with abstract concepts, follow complex reasoning, and generate human-like human-like responses. Now, this is important for the same reason that language is important. And I think Yuval Noah Harari summed it up nicely in an article published in the New York Times on the occasion of the release of GPT-4, when he said that in the beginning was the word, language is the operating system of human culture. From language emerges myth and law, gods and money, art and science, friendships and nations, and computer code. AI's new master of language means it can now hack and manipulate the operating system of civilization. Perhaps a little grandiose of a statement, but there's a very deep thought behind it that has a very practical implication, because what we need to realize is that in an advanced service economy, most jobs, most tasks are fundamentally about, when we boil them down to their fundamentals, they're either about processing information, they're about making decisions that need to be spelled out, they're about communicating, they're about creating various kinds of content, and they're about analyzing data. And all of these tasks are language-based tasks, or they are tasks that can be conducted in language in some form or another. So this means that these are all tasks that this technology will have an impact on. This is why this technology is so significant, and this is why its capability to understand human language is also so significant. Now, when we talk about the future development of AI and when these linguistic capabilities can lead, we often hear about the term AGI, or artificial general intelligence, which usually what we mean by this term is an AI system that matches or exceeds human level intelligence across many domains, and well, it can replace a human in almost all tasks. Naturally, the development of such a system will have major implications for the job market, and it might also lead to what some have termed an intelligence explosion, where AI systems are capable of creating better AI systems all by themselves without humans in the loop. So this leads to the so-called intelligence explosion, where the capabilities of these systems are growing exponentially, possibly escaping our control. Now, perhaps leading to the development of these systems, well, there are different ideas being thrown around, starting with scaling and just building better and bigger and smarter LLMs, and these are in programs, and also other significant approaches, including making AI understand the emotional modality of language, and say how emotion influences communication in human voice. So the development of soft skills, perhaps that's rather than just hard intelligence, perhaps that's a very important factor in developing what we call an artificial general intelligence. But perhaps all that is needed is just some smart programming and good systems architecture. We don't really need smarter base LLMs, just more knowledge how to optimize and use them to develop fully agentic systems that will be capable. Well, of what precisely? Because when we think about AGI, it's good to ponder how did this concept translate into practical terms. And I want to suggest a certain reframing of the AGI concept, based on the insight that, well, since the pandemic, many jobs proved that they're capable of being performed remotely, and in other words, done entirely through a digital interface. So the output of a worker in a digital economy, of a remote worker, translates to purely digital information that he sends through this interface to his or her company. And so technically, in a developed service economy where many jobs can be done remotely, all we need to have a major shock to the job market, which we'll be discussing shortly, is to have an AI that can do everything that a remote worker can do through a computer, not necessarily everything that a human can do generally. So a system that matches human ability to use a computer interface, can use a computer in other terms, is, I suggest, a possible practical definition of AGI. And the question is how soon we are from the development of such systems that can do everything on a computer that a human can do. And the answer is perhaps we're closer than we think, or perhaps closer than we'd like to think. Because now, as recently as 8 days ago, one of the major players in the AI race, Anthropic, announced what they're calling computer use, which is the capability of their flagship model Claude to well, use a mouse and the visual graphical interface in order to use a computer as a human does. It's full of flaws at the moment, but people have been performing very interesting experiments with it, and it certainly looks promising. So we might be on a path to that practical equivalent of AGI and reach that level sooner than we think. Just some food for thought. So moving to our second trend, which are changing attitudes towards AI, and what I have termed the need for developing AI culture, because well, as this technology enters more and more organizations and it takes over various tasks, many organizations focus solely on technology adoption and training, but equally important from a practical perspective is building and supporting what I'm calling AI culture within an organization. Tools and technical training alone won't work because, well, just adopting a technical solution doesn't mean that the solution is effective. What influences effectiveness is people's attitudes and willingness to use the tools effectively. In many cases, especially when such tools as these become available, what's blocking their effective use is old mindsets that sort of force us into old ways of thinking about doing certain tasks, rather than exploring the possibilities of artificial intelligence. What also plays a factor is the challenges to our professional identity and sense of professional self-worth, which I'll discuss more when we move to cultural changes. So what building AI culture means in practice is changing certain unhelpful attitudes towards AI, first of all, and this is what I will focus on. But also it means learning to delegate cognitive tasks and sort of practical AI skills, including prompt engineering, and also creative supportive environment for change from an organizational standpoint. Now, some very common but unhelpful, I find, attitudes towards AI that nonetheless are widespread. It can be summed up as these, well, or at least these are some of them. First of all, quick discouragement. We tend to quickly abandon AI after trying to use ChatGPT for the first time, getting some unsatisfactory results and declaring that, well, it's a far cry from artificial intelligence, it's a stupid chatbot. That's a common attitude, and perhaps an attitude that we secretly sort of gravitate towards. There's also what I call disbelief syndrome. So we constantly tend to raise the bar for AI. When it reaches a certain goalpost, we say, well, it's still not real intelligence, creativity, whatever, because such and such. Even though, say, a few months ago, the bar that has just been crossed for us would have been very impressive. Something I call selective perfectionism. So we tend to scrutinize AI's output rightly, but we tend to scrutinize it far more than we scrutinize human output, which also is error prone. Humans are far from perfect. And the bar that AI needs to reach in order to pass a certain point of threshold of usefulness is to be better than average human, not to be absolutely perfect. So that's an important consideration. Tunnel vision, which relates to what I already mentioned, which is persistently trying to use these tools as we would use tools that were previously available. So, for instance, rather than ideating and using AI for creative development of text, we're just using it for text correction or simple editing without fully realizing what's possible. What's also common is professional denial, the belief that, well, AI will never have implications in my industry, it will never threaten my specific role, my specific job. These are quickly also being challenged as more AI tools are being developed. And also what's quite common is the fear of losing control, which is the unjustified concern that AI will completely take over the process rather than understanding that we should be masters of the process. So this brings me to some helpful attitudes that should be fostered within organizations and beyond organizations, which is first of all what I term competence lever, which is understanding that AI serves as a bridge to skills and capabilities that were previously unavailable to us, right? So non-coders or people with little coding experience can now use AI to help them develop full applications with some difficulty, but still it was something that would have been unimaginable without these tools. New creativity. So transitioning from the role of executor of a piece of art to the director of a piece or a curator of that piece. So as a writer, rather than developing this a nature scene word by word, I might focus on how to direct AI to write that scene for me, and then focus on making adjustments or manipulating the output in any way I see fit, but as a director of that content rather than just a creator. Competently delegating tasks to AI, which involves the competency known as prompt engineering, but also being willing to adaptively and continuously learn and improve the skills, and by improving them, discover new possibilities that AI brings for us. These can be summed up as well. It was also important is to avoid hype on the one hand, and on the other hand, avoid excessive skepticism. So this can be summed up as balanced optimism. So seeing both the possibilities and both limitations of this technology, which are a number, without falling into either extreme, right? So understand how to use these tools effectively, but without being over enthusiastic about them or thinking that they can do everything. Certainly not yet. So kind curiosity is the sort of an overarching attitude that I would suggest that we should foster and develop ourselves. So neither uncritical admiration nor categorical rejection, but systematic exploration of possibilities and limitations of these technologies. Now, expanding our horizon of interest, and I see that I'll need to move a little bit quicker because we don't have much time left. Changes in the job market. The question that haunts us all, I imagine, is will AI replace us? And what I just want to say is that when we put it like that, the answer is obviously not. We are not our jobs. We are much more than that. We are mothers, fathers, friends, poets, chess players, and so on. However, and what we really mean by this question is whether AI will replace our jobs. And here we must say that some of our jobs might, and some of our jobs will be replaced. Now, we can. When we consider the expected trajectory of artificial intelligence revolution or automation in general, we generally imagine that physical and manual work will be automated first, then intellectual and white-collar work would follow, probably long time after. Now, creative work will be automated last, if ever, and in the end, we all be artists, poets, and free spirits. What we're observing is happening is pretty much the reverse. So right now, writers, copywriters, graphical designers, programmers, translators, and so all intellectual white-collar jobs are more threatened by AI than gardeners, carpenters, and nurses. Which is not to diminish those roles in any way, just to say that this is not the trajectory that was widely expected. So this revolution we can see is fundamentally different from previous technological revolutions. When we see at analysis showing what roles and what sectors in this technology will affect most, we can see in this analysis prepared by Accenture that sectors such as banking, insurance, software and platforms, capital markets are among those highest exposed at the highest level to automation and impact from these systems. Now, notably, what Accenture knows here is that 40% of all working hours across industries can be impacted by large language models. And below they say, why is this the case? Because language tasks account for 62% of total work time in the United States. Of the overall share of language tasks, 65% have high potential to be automated or augmented by LLMs, which refers back to what I said previously about the importance of language in the sector, in the service economy, and why the competence of these systems in language is what is behind this tremendous potential for change. New Economic Forum, in a report published last year, estimates that overall 44% of all worker skills will be disrupted in some way or another in the next 5 years, largely thanks to the development of these technologies and automation. Now, in the last few minutes, let me discuss cultural change that is coming thanks to AI. And here I want to focus on the aspect of art and creativity, because the question that we can ask that relates to this matter is, can AI create art? And well, opinions can vary, obviously. Here are two pictures, one of the paintings, one of which was created by AI. It is the right one. But what I can tell you is that when I ask and when I pose this question during trainings I conduct, I usually get a split room on this question. So this shows us that it's not on. I mean, we need to be asking different questions and face some difficult questions about human creativity when we're faced with this technology. The fundamental question being that if AI can create beautiful images in seconds, what does it mean to be an artist? Because, well, some of the traditional sources of creative pride were technical mastery, which required years of practice, unique personal style, the fact of manual execution, the physical craft put into the work. And we're simply uncomfortable with AI being able to just do those tasks without all those additional factors that we thought were very important in how we valued or perceived the value of art. So certainly we will need to change how we perceive creativity and the value in human creativity, including how we perceive what are the new creative skills and the new creative process, where it will be the role of the human to ask why and what if, and the AI will be asking questions how and what else can be created. So perhaps this can be best summed up in what I call art's new question, or the question that we should be asking about art from now on. It's not just is it good, but rather is it meaningful? Does it contribute? Does it connect? Does it challenge? Does it advance culture? And well, those are all factors of creativity that I believe only humans can meaningfully supply. Now, lastly, not so much a trend as a reflection, because I believe that we're on a divergent path right now, leading either to what can be called a utopia, or very much a dystopia, thanks to the development of this technology. And I believe I outlined some of the reasons why that can be the case across various areas of human life. But what I want to emphasize is that these changes will not happen by themselves. Our attitudes and our decisions matter in this revolution. Consider just a very simple example of an economy in which majority of businesses decide to use AI to cut employment costs, what might be called replacement economy, where AI replaces human labor. Versus an economy in which AI is used to boost employer productivity, where most companies decide to give their employees these tools and jump to another level of productivity as an organization as a whole. These are widely different economies and widely different trajectories that an economy can take. Where on one hand we do not really increase base productivity, but cut costs and increase unemployment, shrink middle class, grow wealth inequality. Where on the other hand, we might be facing an economy that operates on an entirely new level and perhaps in addition to providing additional productivity, also frees some more time for us. So these are the critical choices we must face, and critical questions we must ask ourselves. Do we use AI to replace us or to empower us? Do we prioritize short-term profits and cutting costs over long-term flourishing? Do we share the gains of this technology, or do we concentrate them in the powers of those who have them now? In the end, do we enhance or diminish human potential? And these choices will not only be made on a national or organizational level, these choices will also be made on a personal level in many cases. Please remember that our decisions matter. And I wish all of you to make the best decisions possible. Thank you very much for your attention. If I still have some time, I'll be happy to answer. I think there are two questions. Do you expect the AI-based solutions will become less expensive, or the advancement will be so fast the tech will remain quite expensive? We're already seeing the entry level to these technologies drop quite significantly, both in terms of costs as well as the technical expertise needed. And I would expect that trend to continue. And for instance, the cost of generation tokens, which is, well, it's equivalent to the cost of using electricity, but for intelligence when we connect to one of those systems. These costs have been consistently dropping across flagship models. So I will expect that trend to continue. And the second question, we observed that content created by ChatGPT for different organizations, people tend to be similar. You can easily tell what's created by chat, what by human. Will AI develop here, or in the future ability to afford human to create content will be a competitive advantage? Very good question. I think both. The skill that's called prompt, or the competency that's called prompt engineering can be a real leverage here. In terms of coaxing AI to produce content that's truly original and personal and well, really exactly what is expected, because well, the role of a prompt engineer is to guide AI to produce exactly what the prompt engineer needs AI to produce. And that's obviously quite possible. Also thanks to the advancement in technology. So as we see the competency of these systems grow, we also see the entry level to prompt engineering itself drop. So better systems perform better even with worse prompts than last generation systems, for example. I don't think we'll ever reach a level where they can read our minds, and the ability to communicate with these systems effectively, the ability to put ideas into words concisely and precisely will still matter. So this competency of prompt engineering, I don't think will quite disappear. It might transform into something different than it is today. It might evolve towards something that's been called natural language programming, but that's really beyond the scope of this discussion. And I see we have one further question. How can we balance a large-scale use of AI across industries and its massive carbon footprint? That's a vexing and thorny question. The former CEO of Google, whose name unfortunately escapes me at the moment, recently commented that, well, he prefers to bear the huge carbon footprint in the hope that AI can help us solve climate change. which is a high-risk bet, I would say, because it's true that these technologies are quite energy intensive, and the carbon footprint for them is massive. And it seems that environmental concerns for the time being are, well, not a priority of the creators of these systems, because, well, there's an international race going on, so that turns a lot of concerns. Well, I don't really have a good answer for that, and other than limiting the scale of the development of the larger systems, because that's what's driving energy costs right now. The systems that we haven't seen yet, but systems that are being trained right now. I would hope that developments in the energy sector and developments in that field will continue to reduce the carbon footprint of energy generation in general. And in that sense, also the carbon footprint of AI as well as other industries. But that's obviously a wider discussion. From a purely environmental standpoint, well, this is not a green technology, not at the moment. And that's also one of the questions and challenges we must face. Well, these are all the questions. Thank you again very much for your attention. Sorry for going past my time limit. But I hope this has been educational.